we go into South Chicago. And, well, me and my camera. I go to South Chicago, and I'm like, I gotta capture this stuff, man, because I read these stats, 4,000 shot every day. Of course, that's an exaggeration, but I read these stats. I'm like, how could this be happening? Seriously, how can it be? How can it be that bad? So I go to my buddy Tom, who lives in the suburbs. I said, Tom, can you set me up with somebody who could tour me around? He's like, Dennis, nobody's gonna want to tour you around. All right. So anyway, I find this cop through a friend of a friend of a friend. And so he's like, yeah, I'll drive you around for a while. It's like, okay. So we're going to get in his car. He wanted to drive. I was totally okay with that. Plus I'm holding the camera. So he puts on his bulletproof vest. I'm like, why do you need that? He's like, you should have one too. I said, I don't have one. Do you have one for me? He says, no. Oh, okay. That's confidence. And, oh, by the way, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, really? And he's like, really? Bullets just spray. Bullets just fly. He's like, you just think that everything's fine and dandy? Poof. Okay. All right. So he starts taking me to South Chicago. And we're driving around. And the homes all have these X's on them. And I'm like, what's the X's on there for? So he says, that means that they have basically gone in there and searched to see if there's any dead bodies in. I'm like, you kidding me, man? That's like something you'd hear from, Afghanistan or Iraq or, some third world country. He's like, I know, this is third world. And I'm like, you're kidding me. So he says, no. He goes, so we go in there, we inspect it. Fire department goes in there too, make sure that, the hazards, it's not going to cause any hazard, whatever. And it's an X. And it's an X basically on there saying, hey, we've inspected this and there's no dead bodies in there. Okay. So we keep on driving around. And one place after the next place is abandoned. And then if it's not abandoned, it's just people standing out in the streets. And I said, what's the story here, man? Why? There's no jobs? I mean, he's like, Dennis, let me tell you something. And he starts grabbing me to different places. He goes, this used to be a candy factory. This place used to be, whatever. And he's naming one after the next after the next. They're all empty. They're all decrepit. I mean, it looks like, seriously, I say it all the time, South Chicago is creeping up on Detroit when you're talking about what it looks like from an industry standpoint. And so he says to me, yeah, look, what you're an entrepreneur, DML? I said, yeah, I am. He said, would you open a business here? Even if I told you could get the cheapest labor in the world, that these people would work for, minimum wage? I said, no, I wouldn't. He says, why? I said, because I'd be afraid that I'm going to get killed. He says, you would. That's why we can't get anything going here. We can't get anything going. We can't get any jobs. We can't get anything. Nothing. So what happened? These people are getting on welfare. They're never getting off. And then they figure out, oh, hey, by the way, I can sell drugs. He goes, and then they start selling drugs. He goes, how do you take a kid and convince him to go work at McDonald's, which is basically, if you're not working at a fast food place around here, you're not working. How do you take a kid and convince him to go work at McDonald's for $7.50 an hour, $8 an hour, when he could turn around and stand on a corner and sell a dime bag and make himself $500 a day selling drugs? I often talk to you in a manner where I have an answer for everything. I don't have an answer for that one. And then, depressingly as it is, and you would have seen this in my Fighting for Trump film, had I not been threatened by Newsmax that I'd be sued if I put it out, because I was using clips from my television show, which I was contractually, rightfully set to do. But anyway, I go in there and I interview this young guy, this young boy, and he's about 18 years old, black boy. And I said to him, and he was outside a church, right? So I said to him, do you do drugs? I could just tell by the way this kid's talking. He's like, not at all, sir. I mean, call me sir, not at all, sir. I said, do you have a job? I don't, sir. Why not? Can't find a job around here, sir. Really? So you want to have a job, but you can't find one? Yes. I said, what kind of job would you like? He says, I'd take anything, sir. Anything at all. I said, well, why can't you find jobs? Why do you think there's no jobs around here? And he looked at me like I was stupid. Like, I knew the answer to the question, but he's like, sir, this is South Chicago. He's like, people just getting killed in the middle of the day. Guys just getting killed in the middle of the day. So I said, well, what's your plan of getting out of here? How do you want to get out of here? He says, well, I really don't want to leave. I don't want to get out of here. I wish it would be that they would fix this place up, because this is where my family, you know, we have roots here and stuff. He's like, but my plan is that maybe I get a job in the city. You know, meaning, well, I said, well, you know, for what kind of stuff? He said, I don't know, construction work, you know, maybe doing stuff, paving roads. Do you mean the jobs that Americans don't want to do? That, oh, by the way, your Mr. Emmanuel, Mayor Emmanuel, wants to give to illegal aliens? Those jobs? You know, do you get it? Remember I told you the other day? It all connects. It all connects. So I said, well, what's the biggest problem here? And he says, well, because kids have no jobs, we have no jobs. He goes, that's why kids are getting in trouble. I said, how many of your friends are in gangs? He says, Mr. Sir, you'd probably be better asking me how many of my friends have been killed by people in gangs. And I mean, like, your heart bleeds, you know, your heart bleeds. You just want to fix this, because the narrative is that none of these people want to work. The narrative is that they just want to sit on welfare. The narrative is that they're all killing each other and that's the way they like it. But as I kept moving on, I saw another father outside. His house would be like it was a smaller house, but you would see it like in this neighborhood. It was that clean, that pristine. And the guy was outside, he had his broom. I mean, and he's amid all those homes I'm talking to you about with the X's on the side. Made no sense at all, right? So I said to the cop, hey man, you know, stop, I want to talk to this guy. So he says, all right. So I go up to the guy and I said to him, excuse me, sir, can you explain to me, I don't mean to be rude, but can you explain to me why it is that you keep your house so tidy like this, and you got the American flag on a flagpole? I mean, it's like a normal Rockwell painting. And his wife was on the porch on a rocking chair. I mean, it was perfect. And meanwhile, everything around him looks like crap. So I said, why do you keep your house like this? He says, because this is the way my son would want it to be. I said, your son? He says, yes, my son. He says, he just died this year. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, how did that happen? He says, in a drive-by shooting. I mean, you know, I'm a lucky guy, I'm lucky Irish, but I mean, I'm getting lucky every single time. I'm getting a story every single time. And I'm like, so that's not luck. What that is an abundance. And so it's easy. It's like me saying, hey, I got to pick a piece of leaf. It's not too hard to do it. They're all over the place. So I said, your son got killed in a drive-by. He says, yeah, he got killed in a drive-by. He says, and I said, man, that must be hard. He said, it feels like it was yesterday. He goes, and you know, one thing, when my son's friends used to come over, you know, our house, we always kept our house a little bit nicer than everybody else's. And the kids that would come over would always comment about that. And that's why they'd always want to come over here, because our house was always a little bit better kept. Not nicer, not more elegant, not at all. Just kept, you know, lawn mowed, lines in the lawn, American flag on the side, drapes nice, everything looked nice and clean, like he respected where he lived. And the kids liked going there. And meanwhile, his son gets killed in a drive-by shooting. You know, nobody, all that boy is just another statistic to the news. You know, they never go into these places. They never really ask these questions. Yours truly does. Why is that, DML? Because I care. Because I would like to solve these problems. These problems are not hard to, they're not hard to fix. There just has to be a will. Because I go to another guy. And this is when the cop leaves me. Now, you know, the cop's like, all right, time's up, I gotta go. And now I'm like, I'm not done yet. So I'm like, you know what? Nobody shot me. Maybe I just go out on my own. So I'm on my own. You know, I don't look like I do drugs. Or maybe I do. I act like it sometimes. So, CNN clip. So anyway, you know, so I go out there by myself. And I start talking to other people. Nobody looking to hurt me. Nobody shooting me. Probably thinking I'm driving around trying to find myself a nice hit, you know, of crack cocaine or something to that level, heroin, whatever they're selling nowadays. So I talked to another guy and I said to him, you know, I'm out here by myself. And he says, look, I just got to tell you, he's like, you know, he looks at his watch. He's like, yeah, you probably want to wrap this up in 20 minutes. Hi, wait for Miss Mary. Come on, darling. I'm wrapping up here. So he says, you know, you probably want to wrap, talking about wrapping things up. You want to wrap this up in the next couple of minutes. I said, why? He says, well, what happens is, he says that, you know, in the mornings, people like myself, good people, we go out food shopping, wash our cars, we cut our lawns, we do all of our general duties for the day. He's like, you know, that's those of us who don't have work. What if this is an older guy, you know? He's like, you know, I'm retired, but other people, you know, you'll see if they're going to their jobs or whatever, but most of them are just doing all their day activities in the early mornings between 6 and noon. And he says, then they go in their homes. I said, what? Why? And meanwhile, this is like summertime. I said, why? He says, because that's when the criminal element comes out. That's when they, from the night before, they were out until 2, 3, 4 in the morning. They sleep it off. They come out at 12, and that's when all the stuff starts bad happening. So you might want to get out of here by then. And I said to him, that's the crime here. I mean, this is like the murder capital of the country. I mean, what? He said, listen to me, son. 90% of the crime is done by 10% of the people. The majority of the people that are here, we're stuck in this place. We can't get out. We don't have the money to get out. We could never even sell our home or rent our home if we wanted to or tried to, okay? So we're stuck here. And yet, it's only 10% of the people committing all the crimes. And yet, we're subject to that. And I'm like, they're not doing anything? He says, the cops try, but there's just not enough of them. And for as long as those drugs keep on flowing in, it's unstoppable. It's just unstoppable. See, I don't believe that. I don't think Donald Trump believes that either. Barack Obama believes that. Emmanuel believes that. Hillary Clinton believes it. Like, oh, it's a problem, can't fix it, just let it go. And they just ignore it. Except for, of course, when they need the votes. But when it comes to stuff like this, forget about it. Guys like Lynch, guys like Trump, guys like, Mr. Hood now, Ben Carson. We want to do stuff to fix it. It could be fixed. And it will be fixed. It will be fixed. All right, that said, I hope...